My name's Tom Price. I was born in South London, in Camberwell. I studied at the Royal College and Chelsea School of Art, and I've been sculpting ever since then. I was even making things as a child with bits of wire and pipe cleaners and all sorts of things. So I've been at this for a while. For me, making sculpture is a way of thinking. It's a way of filtering the world around me and my thoughts about that world through this activity, which then kind of condenses a certain set of ideas and tries to communicate those to other people. For me, it's a necessary part of who I am, and probably through dyslexia and dyscalculia, I also kind of can't necessarily use the normal methods that other people can, so making things and presenting things it just seems quite natural to me. Obviously here at the Yorkshire Sculpture Park I'm showing my largest bronze sculpture to date, which is a 9-foot sculpture of a man holding a mobile phone in a puffer jacket, not unlike the one I've just brought. It's very exciting to kind of show work for the first time outdoors, which I've never done before on this scale, and to kind of have all the different plots of sculpture around it, to interact with the space, the changing lights. It's an incredible opportunity. I'm very excited.
It's such an amazing piece. It's huge, but it's also very contemporary whilst referencing historical statuary in a way that we felt would just look amazing here in the landscape.
Could you stand where I am and let's see if it's going to make any palpable difference? And what we particularly wanted is that people can walk down from the north of the sculpture park. They come down, this is the main entranceway through into the bottom, and we wanted the network figure to be really sort of quite frontal, really quite full on, but obviously far enough away from the Tony Caro, the Julian Opie and other sculptures to have its own space.
I think that the silhouette works so nicely, and as you get to walk around it kind of opens up these different views to the sculpture itself, and then this views past the sculpture to the different vistas. So yeah, really happy with how it's going so far.
What's really interesting is particularly the nude pieces, they look like they could be historic sculpture. They look very traditional, like old statuary, but they're a third of life size and they have a more vulnerable look to them than the very big, powerful statues you see in every town and city. And actually, when you think about it, all those statues in every town and city in most places around the world tend to be of white, male, powerful men. And this is what historically statue has been. And so through choosing subjects from their composite portraits of people around South London where Tom lives and where he works, to sketches in magazines or in newspapers. So they are anonymous, but through putting them on a plinth and very deliberately raising their status, Tom is subverting this whole tradition of statuary, which is fascinating.
The figures are isolated from the environment, whereas the mobile phone suggests a connection, or an attempt at a connection to a larger network, to someone else, at least one other person, or a way of taking information from the outside world and then again assimilating it into your own internal space. Perhaps it even comments on the process that the viewer's engaged in when looking at a piece of work. My work spans various different medias. I've used stop motion animation, I've used plaster, I've used photographs. I started with performance, and I really just tried to use whichever medium, whichever process is feeling right at the time.
Well, I hope people will take the time out to come and see this exhibition and really spend a bit of time with the figures that Tom has spent so much time creating for other people's enjoyment. So on first appearance they do seem very traditional, but actually as you go through the exhibition from the nudes through to the very contemporary figures, you realise they are not historical, they're actually very contemporary. They're wearing contemporary clothes, they stood in contemporary positions, they have things in their pockets that you might try and identify. And so you realise that although he's applying a very traditional medium, he's actually doing something very fresh and showing that this traditional method still has something to say and is relevant today.
Hopefully they'll see something in some of the works, maybe the show as a whole, maybe They'll be able to connect the large sculpture with the smaller pieces in the show in the Bothy Gallery, and go away with a sense of maybe more intrigue into who people are and what they're thinking about, and how we assess people we don't know, and how we think about other people, and how we think about ourselves, because ultimately they're all connected.